picture-perfect beginning to the outside world, Jodi Arias and Travis Alexander appeared to have a fairy tale romance. Their love story began in 2006 when they first met at a prepaid legal services (PPL) conference in Las Vegas. Travis, a 30-year-old motivational speaker and salesman, was charismatic, confident, and deeply rooted in his Mormon faith. He had overcome significant adversity, having grown up in a rough and tumultuous home, and used his hardships to inspire others with messages of perseverance and self-improvement. Jodi, on the other hand, was a strikingly beautiful 27-year-old aspiring photographer, whose vibrant appearance and charm immediately caught Travis's attention. From the moment their eyes met, there was an undeniable spark between them. Travis, drawn to Jodi's beauty and vivacity, was enchanted. Jodi, mesmerized by Travis's confidence, success, and charm, quickly became infatuated with him. Within a matter of days, their connection was electric, and their relationship blossomed into what seemed to be a whirlwind romance destined for a fairy tale ending. However, as captivating as their relationship seemed, it was anything but a solid love story. Beneath the surface of their outwardly enviable relationship lay deep undercurrents of obsession, jealousy, control, and manipulation. What began as love quickly spiraled into a dark abyss, foreshadowing the catastrophic events to come. A relationship built on secrets and sin. Travis Alexander, a devout Mormon, was committed to living a life of purity and abstinence until marriage. His religious faith was not just a guiding principle, but a core element of his identity. He often spoke about his dedication to upholding the tenets of his faith, and those around him admired his moral fortitude. Jodi, however, did not share the same religious values. Despite Travis's public commitment to abstinence, the two quickly became physically involved, indulging in a secret life that contradicted everything Travis outwardly stood for. The illicit nature of their physical relationship weighed heavily on Travis. Consumed by guilt, he struggled to reconcile his actions with his religious beliefs. He would often express regret after their intimate encounters, feeling as though he was betraying his faith. To him, Jodi became a symbol of both temptation and spiritual danger. He confided in friends, telling them he knew she was trouble. But despite his internal conflict, he couldn't bring himself to break away from her allure. For Jodi, their physical intimacy seemed to solidify her emotional attachment. She was obsessed with Travis, clinging to him with a level of intensity that would soon border on frightening fixation. Their relationship was a toxic storm of passion and conflict, with moments of fiery lust followed by explosive arguments, jealousy, and manipulation. Travis, recognizing the unhealthy nature of their relationship, tried to distance himself from Jodi. He knew the connection they shared was destructive, but every attempt to cut ties with her was met with resistance. Jodi refused to let go. The descent into obsession. As Travis attempted to move on, Jodi spiraled deeper into her obsession with him. She began to exhibit increasingly erratic behavior. When Travis started dating other women, her jealousy grew into something far darker. Jodi made sure to insert herself into his life whenever possible, showing up at his home unannounced and uninvited, snooping through his phone, and even hacking into his email accounts. Friends of Travis became alarmed, noting her obsessive behavior and warning him that she was not mentally stable. They likened her to a fatal attraction, and their concerns grew as her actions became more invasive. But despite his efforts to cut her out of his life, the toxic connection lingered. Jodi, determined to stay close to Travis, took drastic measures. She relocated to Mesa, Arizona, the city where Travis lived, despite his clear indications that their relationship was over. In what seemed to be a desperate attempt to rekindle their bond, she even converted to Mormonism. likely believing that aligning herself with his faith would make her more appealing to him on a spiritual level. But instead of drawing them closer, these actions only pushed Travis further away. He saw through her manipulations and began referring to her privately as a sociopath, fully aware that her behavior was becoming increasingly unhinged. By early 2008, Travis had reached his breaking point. He began dating another woman and was preparing for a new relationship that offered him the hope of a stable, happy future. This, for Travis, marked a turning point. A chance to move on from the chaos and toxicity of his relationship with Jody. But for Jody, it was the final blow. The thought of Travis being with someone else ignited a fire of jealousy, and she wasn't about to let him walk away without consequences. The day of the murder. June 4th, 2008, would forever change the lives of those who knew Travis Alexander. What started as an ordinary day ended in a scene of horror that would haunt his friends, family, and the public for years to come. Travis was found dead in his home 5 days later, and the gruesome nature of the crime stunned everyone. His body was discovered in the shower, covered in stab wounds, his throat viciously slashed from ear to ear, and a gunshot wound to his head. Blood splattered across the walls, and floor told the story of a brutal, prolonged attack. Forensic investigators quickly determined the sheer ferocity of the crime. Travis had been stabbed 27 times, with defensive wounds on his hands indicating that he had fought desperately for his life. The level of violence suggested a deeply personal, emotionally charged murder. It wasn't just a killing. It was a crime of passion fueled by pure, unrestrained rage. At first, Jody denied any involvement in Travis's death. She portrayed herself as the grieving ex-girlfriend, claiming she hadn't seen him in weeks and expressing shock at the news of his murder. But the evidence would soon tell a different story, unraveling her web of lies. The evidence begins to mount. It didn't take long for police to begin focusing on Jody as a prime suspect. From the beginning, her behavior raised red flags, and as investigators dug deeper, the evidence against her began to mount. In Travis's washing machine, police discovered a camera that contained deleted images of Jody and Travis together on the day of his murder. One of the last photos showed Travis in the shower, likely just minutes before he was killed. The images were chilling, silent witnesses to the horror that was about to unfold. Additionally, investigators found bloody palm prints in the hallway that matched both Jody and Travis. Even more damning was the discovery of gas cans and receipts showing that Jody had taken a complex, roundabout route to avoid being tracked as she traveled to Travis's home in Mesa. The evidence painted a clear picture of premeditation. Jody had meticulously planned her trip to confront and ultimately murder Travis. When confronted with the overwhelming evidence, Jody's story changed. First, she claimed that 2 intruders had broken into Travis's home and killed him, while she miraculously escaped. But this story quickly fell apart under scrutiny, and the lack of any evidence to support her claim made it clear she was lying. In a last-ditch effort to explain the murder, Jody offered a third story. This time, she admitted to killing Travis but claimed it was in self-defense. According to her new narrative, Travis had become increasingly violent during their relationship, and on the day of the murder, he had attacked her. She said she acted in fear for her life, stabbing him in a frenzy to protect herself. However, the evidence simply didn't support this version of events. The crime scene told a different story, one of calculated, cold-blooded murder. The trial. Jodi Arias's trial became a media spectacle, captivating the nation with its lurid details of sex, lies, and betrayal. Broadcast live on television, the trial exposed the dark and tumultuous underbelly of Jody and Travis's relationship, painting a picture of obsession and manipulation that held viewers in rapt attention. The prosecution depicted Jody as a manipulative, jealous lover who couldn't bear to see Travis move on without her. They argued that the murder was premeditated, driven by a toxic cocktail of obsession and revenge. The brutality of the attack showed the depth of Jody's festering hatred and rage. To the prosecution, this was no crime of passion in the heat of the moment. It was a cold and calculated act of vengeance. Jody's defense team, on the other hand, sought to portray her as the victim of an abusive relationship. They claimed that Travis had been psychologically and physically abusive, pushing Jody to the edge. According to the defense, the murder was an act of self-defense, the culmination of years of mistreatment. Throughout the trial, Jody took the stand in her own defense, recounting the intimate and often sordid details of her relationship with Travis. She painted herself as a woman who had been mistreated and emotionally abused, someone who acted out of fear in a desperate moment. But her testimony was filled with inconsistencies, and her demeanor on the stand unnerved many. She appeared calculating, her shifting stories doing little to endear her to the jury or the public. After months of dramatic testimony and deliberation, the jury found Jody Arias guilty of first-degree murder. The overwhelming evidence, the deleted photos, the palm prints, the gas cans, painted a clear picture of premeditation, and the jury rejected the defense's claims of self-defense. The brutality of the murder and Jody's attempts to cover it up made it impossible for her to escape responsibility. However, the jury could not come to a unanimous decision on whether Jody should receive the death penalty or life in prison. As a result, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Today, she remains behind bars, a chilling reminder of how obsession can lead to horrific violence. A chilling legacy. The case of Jody Arias and Travis Alexander continues to fascinate and horrify true crime enthusiasts. It stands as a cautionary tale about the destructive power of obsession, jealousy, and toxic relationships. What began as a seemingly perfect romance unraveled into a dark and twisted dance of manipulation, control, and ultimately murder. The case highlights the dangerous line between love and obsession, and how unchecked jealousy can turn deadly. For years to come, the story of Jody Arias will remain a haunting example of how passion can spiral into madness, leaving us to wonder, was she truly a victim of abuse or a calculating murderer bent on revenge? In the end, the full truth of what happened behind closed doors in their relationship may never be known. But the legacy of this case serves as a chilling reminder of how love can sometimes take a deadly turn.